Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Karina, good morning to you. High volatility. Yeah, it certainly is. That ATR, it's come down a little bit, was about 30 minutes ago, but it's still high. So hopefully when the main market opens, it may slow down a little bit. I looked at that failure there. That was very tempting. But I think it was about 18 ticks, wasn't it? Speedy, how you doing, buddy? So let's see what kind of day we have. But markets have been so just volatile. Yesterday was, I mean, if you look, to be honest with you, considering markets are literally just opening now, there's still been a lot of movement overnight. So let's see how we get on. Yeah, but just take in mind today that ATR is double what it kind of usually is. So hopefully this thing should hopefully slow it down. A lot of the times it is a little bit like this. We've had some news a little while ago. It didn't seem to do much, but we got some ISM services news coming out in about 30 minutes. But yeah, just keep an eye on that ATR today. It is a little bit high. So Trump is certainly an interesting character, isn't he? He knows how to move the markets, that's for certain. So channel down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. I'm a bit on the fence here. I kind of had it like that partially, which kind of fits on the bottom. But I've been sort of playing around with it. If we go from the top there, I'm not worried about cutting the top off there a fraction. So 2 attempts to push up, but for me to get into something here, it needs to push down below that EMA. So let's see what today brings. I did take a trade earlier, just on this one account. That was on there. We had a channel down, 2 attempts to push up. Sort of, there's buyers up there, triggered above and came right down. I think I got in on a limit order, but 2 clear legs up. So for me, it was going to break those lows. Eventually did, but I was out long before we got down here. DV, I have Guardian Angel quote a session. I set parameters. How do I apply it? Doesn't seem to be working. Okay, let's just move this a bit if I get a bit closer to my screen. I'm not blinding everyone there, am I? Okay. I left this one open for this particular reason. Let me have a little look. Okay, so Guardian Angel Trader. I've got this one account open, which is 50. Yeah, okay. So how do I apply it? Okay, so I'm just going to give this a few minutes to settle anyway. But once you go through all this, now I'm assuming most of it is quite self-explanatory, but I'll show you the types of parameters and settings that I use, and then we'll go through how to do it quickly. So I have my allowed trading times. That's what I set. Now, I've not set it in this particular account, but the rest I can, but I can't get into the others, which is why I've left this one. So you can set, I usually set my trading hours from a couple of minutes after 2:30 when the market opens to about 6:30 from Monday to Friday. I don't have, the next one I have is position loss. I have this, position size. I have this set to 1 and you click enable. Losing trades, exponential, how you doing? I have this set to 2 and enable with a slight filter of $50 if I get out for break even and it has a little bit of slippage. Losing timeout you can set if you want. So if you take a loss, you can set yourself out for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And that's about all I have. So if you go into lock settings, so I set mine to only allow me to make any adjustments from, I think, 1:30 UK time to 2 o'clock or 1 till 1:30 for just 30 minutes, and then I lock it out. ATF rules, you can select don't allow trades, and this is the important bit. Always make sure you have your hide remove NinjaTrader script assembly. It stops you deleting it. I'd lock sim accounts as well, because it's easy to go into a sim account, change the rules and copy it to the others and open them, and always have protect files and folder. So I'm on number 50 here. So if I want to save all my settings, I can click that, select whatever account and click copy, and that will copy the settings I've got to that particular account. And as soon as you shut that down, those settings will apply. So once you've set these, as soon as you've shut it down, you don't have to click set or anything. It will just automatically kick in. I hope that makes sense, bud. IL Trades, how you doing? I'm all right, mate. How you doing, buddy? Are you a new guy? Are you a new face? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if I've seen you before. So welcome anyway. Yeah, if you got any questions about it, you know, you can message me, you know, private message me on Message anytime you like. You know, I'm happy to talk trading. So if anybody ever has got any questions, honestly, you can message me anytime. Anytime you like. I always get back. You know what I'm like. I'm always up for a chat and to talk trading. You know it. Welcome. Where are you from anyway? It's always nice to know. Because usually we're surrounded by US guys. Occasionally you get a few Brits in here and a few other Europeans. But so, yeah, as soon as you shut this down now, that will apply. But then if you want to copy these, you can click select, click copy and blah, blah, blah. It's pretty straightforward. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you've got it, it's pretty straightforward. So if I shut this down now and I open it again on one of my other accounts, so 50 is the only one I can get into now. So if I click on 15, okay, that's allowing me to get into. That shouldn't do. Why is that then? Let me just check. Allowed trading times. Have I got my... Let's have a look. Settings. I haven't clicked enable. So once you click enable, that's strange. So this is how I might as well go through this quickly. So allowed trading times, that's what I allow myself 2 minutes after the market, and I've changed it back to 6:30. So that gives me 4 hours. Position size, one contract or lot, whatever you're trading, but it's one contract. Make sure it's enabled. Losing trade, two trades, make sure it's enabled with a little filter of $50 just in case there's a bit of slippage. Losing timeout, I haven't got set. I think that's it for me. So lock settings, click enable, which I didn't. And then ATF rules, and then normal settings. Let me just make sure I send that to each. So 17, copy. Why is it shut down? I should be able to get into it now, I don't think. Let me have a look. What's it got? It's disappeared somewhere. That's strange, it disappeared. What is going on here? Am I missing something? It's not even opening now. That's unusual. Let me just try again. Nothing I'm doing at the moment is going sideways, so strange. It's not letting me open that. Typical. Jan, how you doing, buddy? Are you from Israel? Fantastic. Fantastic. I used to follow a trader from Israel. What's his name? Just outside Tel Aviv. I'm just going to quickly shut this down and reopen it again. Gorilla, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Excuse me a sec. I'm just going to shut this down and reopen it. For some reason, it won't let me open my... It won't let me open Angel Trader. What's my password? I'm blank. a second. Yeah, Gorilla Trades. He stopped. He stopped streaming or stopped trading, but I liked him actually. I thought he was a good trader. Okay, it's opening. It's a bit slow, mine to open. Connections. Where are we? There we go. Okay. Excuse me a second. Okay, news. Excellent. So we've got news coming up in 5 minutes. That's my 5-minute warning. I should get a 2-minute one. Okay, let's try again. Okay, yeah, it's open. It wouldn't let me open for some reason. So if I open 15 now, it won't let me do it. It's locked out. So as soon as you close something down, it won't let you get back in. So set your settings. As soon as you're happy, close it down. And if the settings don't allow you to get in, which mine don't, then there we go. So let me just check. Everything's opening. Sell.
Order
1,
submitted.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Beautiful. So everything's opening. One contract.
Order cancelled.
Now, I'm going to get rid of that now, I think, so I'm not sure about that. That's the original one I had. Channel down, 2 legs up with a break, and eventually down a new low. Whether this is bottoming or not, I don't know. It could just be a bigger range. So I'm just going to put that there. Just for a second. We have got some news coming up in about 3 minutes, so I wouldn't do anything now anyway. So small break there, opposite one there, and we're up and out. So overnight lows here, so I'm just going to put that there at the moment because we may bounce off these overnight lows, or it could end up being just a bigger range at the moment. So just for now, I'm going to leave that there. So Israel, so how do you feel about Trump taking over Gaza? Is that something that sounds appealing? Strange. I had to say that, didn't I? So my thought process was we may get a leg and a leg down here, so I put that down there. Yeah, Trump Gaza or Trump Strip or whatever they're going to call it, something like that. Hey, Lance, going to request my first payout from Apex. Congratulations. I feel like I need to go and get a whiskey. For international payouts, what platform does Apex use? Plain. Correct. So I'm assuming you've got a Plain account. If you haven't, contact Apex. They contact Plain. Pass the details to Plain. Plain send you an invite out. Okay, news is coming up in 2 minutes. Plain send you an invite out. You accept it, put in what bank details you want everything to go, and then when it's all set up, it's pretty straightforward. I had another $1,800 go into my Plain. I have told you about that anyway. I just don't speak on guard there. It's bothering me a lot. Okay, fair enough. In fact, I did take your, you messaged me, Laufey, didn't you, a few weeks ago? You sent a message to me on about reducing my contract to one side. So I had a good think about it and I decided to. So there you go. I just thought I'd let you know that. So I sent a link for Edge Draft. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So news is coming up in 1 minute. So I've stuck that there and then right in the front. So in fact, let me just tuck it over a minute while I just move that up. I'm going to put that like that, I think. 33. Okay, so news is coming up in about 20 seconds. So ISM services, for some odd reason on my other chart, we've got news showing at, oh, that was 1:30. Well, that's unusual. Usually it starts from here and goes down, so I don't know why that's jumped. Usually it goes in order. That's, unless that's for tomorrow. I don't know. Okay, so it doesn't seem like the news has done much. Okay, let's get rid of it. So channel break, new high. Whether it's bouncing off the overnight lows there, we've pushed above it really, but then we've dropped back. So leg down, maybe it's a leg down and down again. So let's see if that breaks below that EMA. I was going to put this so there. What's that ATR? Great, that ATR's come down. It's come down quite a bit actually, so hopefully it continues down. Bars have got progressively smaller than it was back here, so that's good news. So, yeah, perhaps this is rejecting off that overnight lows. We tried to get up 3 or 4 times and dropped, and we've tried again. So a little channel there with a break and a new low. I wonder if we'll end up doing something like that at some point. It actually doesn't work too bad with the midline, does it? You can see it there, 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 there. So maybe a possibility of something larger. It's probably a bit early, but it's worth paying attention to. Did Dan take that, did he? Yeah, I think Dan took that one there. What's the risk at the moment? It's still quite large, isn't it? Actually, that's not too bad. So it's only 3.5 point. It's a relatively small one, that. Channel break. New high. Try to go once, try to ties failure. Second entry long, trapped. Yeah, you think that's probably going to come back to the EMA, and it did. It sat across the EMA, and then we had that drop again. Let me have a look. 3 o'clock. Oh, what am I thinking of? We haven't had that news yet, have we? That was the medium impact news. Okay, let me just get that back. Was it do that? I don't notice that. My mistake. I was looking at the 4:45 one, so we got some more news come up. Let me just check. I've got this. Everything's like it is. Yeah. Incidentally, if you don't have this and you want to get hold of it, you can see it on my chart there, just below Can you see that? Where is it? It's around about there, just at the bottom. And there's a link in the description. It is free to use. You can make a donation if you wish. But what it does is it gives you the news, and it also gives you alarms as well. Quick fingers in your ears. Test 1 and test 2. So it's very easy to forget that the news is there. Now, I've got this there at the moment, but sometimes when it's there and you're focused here, it's very easy to forget that, and I've done it before. So if you want to use that, it is free to use. As I say, there is a donation button there, but it's Jan's. He's in this stream. And he's programmed all that. And he's also got a chart, a journal as well, which you can download. So you can keep an eye on all your trades. So link is in the description if you want to get that down. Danger coming. The news, yeah, got news coming in. So yeah, I have one of the alarm come off 5 minutes before the news. The blue one and the red one 2 minutes. As I say, it is so easy to forget when you're focused on what price is doing. So I think that's a 2-tiered channel. Yes, looks nice to me. Touching perfectly there and there. So I've got that as a 2-tiered channel. So leg, let me have a look. So unless we're just testing this area, there may be a second leg down. Now that is very tempting. That's a hidden second entry short. Where's this news? It's 19 ticks. Where's the news? We've got
Order
9 minutes.
Order
it's getting a
canceled.
bit too close, isn't it? That's a shame. I like that. It is a second entry short. It hasn't triggered. In fact, I didn't see it. Was more like a hidden second entry short, but it didn't trigger, so it's a no-go that. But if touch, I like that. It's a shame it didn't trigger. Yeah, Dan's got this as a yeah, Marco's mentioned that, but it never triggered. Yeah, no, yeah. So I wasn't the only one that was looking at that. No trigger here. Come on, second entry short. So it was definitely valid. It was actually really nice looking. Lovely bar right off the key entry point, right off the EMA, and it never triggered and went higher, which is a shame because I like that one. It was rather large, but to be fair, I think that's an absolute really lovely looking trade. Someone said visual. It wasn't actually. There's it ticked down there by a low, which is a real shame. That. What I liked about it as well is we pushed up, tested it once, twice, 3 times that line there, right off that the underside of this top of the range. That was an absolute beauty. It's a real shame it never triggered. Trouble is, we're getting close to that news now. Okay, so maybe we got a leg and a leg. Let me just do that like that. No. Push below that EMA and a lower high would be better. So channel, small break. Trouble is we're getting close to that news. And that is a high impact news. So I'd like a little pullback here to touch this. We've still got 6 minutes. But my guess is this is just going to come down now. Did it trigger above there? It didn't, did it? No. So, It is working. Woof. There we go. So I'm guessing there were some stops there. We had a big bullish bar there. You may consider that high or low. Some will. On my other chart, it definitely was. In fact, it was a failure on here. Yeah, so... Oh no, tell a lie. Let's have a look. So, yes, you got a high, low and a failure. Second entry short, triggered, pushed up. There'd definitely be some longs in there, and I think a combination of that and that, which is why it caused that push down, taking out all these stops. So you got two legs down, bullish bar, higher low, then you trap some shorts with a trigger, one stop, shorts trapped, buyers are in here, pushes up a little bit, comes down a little bit, takes out stops here, which create that little push down a bit. So that's nice to have another chart. I couldn't see why it did it on the other chart, but that looks much more obvious. But there is a higher low, but that second entry short there didn't trigger. No, it never triggered. It did on my other one. And that would have stopped me out. Let me just have a look at that. Yeah, I never noticed that. It actually triggered there. To be honest with you, though, it's not high enough to me. It's a bit congested. I expect a leg and another leg. We kind of did there. We had a leg up with a little pullback and another leg up. Well, it is what it is. Okay, so news coming up in 3.5 minutes. So, any stops around here just got eaten up. So leg down, a couple of legs back and a second leg down. Be nice to have a little pull back here and test the underside of this. It did what we expected to continue down. The second entry short didn't trigger, and then we had a small break, and obviously then we didn't get a higher low. It would have been nicer if it triggered above that little bull bar. That makes it much more attractive. You can consider it a lower high then. And you're expecting to get down here. Okay, 2 minutes news. I love having that. It just makes such a difference. Okay, news 1 minute. Yeah, it didn't on this. It did on this other chart, but it looked completely different. There was 2 legs. It did on there by a tick. So it looks a bit different, this chart. Okay, news is up. Yeah, if you decide to get in short here or something and you forget the news is there, that could do some serious damage. Well, that was a fair old move up. Add the options so you can remove fields. Don't need higher news and type on the dates. Oh, I got you mean. Yeah. I see what you mean. I'll have a look later, bud. So, well, I'll tell a lie. Kind of went from there, didn't it? So 2 bars, 26 points quickly. So it just goes to show if you forget that news or get it wrong once, it could potentially, if you would decide to take a short here. See, I think people forget sometimes that as long as you've got a 2-point stop, the most you're going to lose is 2 points. When a market moves that quick, your stop may not trigger. As I say, I got into a trade accidentally. Fortunately, it was on an evaluation maybe a year or 2 ago. And I had a 2-point stop and it ended up taking me out for 5 points. So if you're trading 2 contracts, that's $500. If you've got 20 accounts, you can lose $10,000, bomb like that. So, excuse me, it can be pretty dramatic if you get it wrong. Okay, so we got overnight lows here. We couldn't get above it. It came down there. We tried again. It came back. This is a 3rd time. We're getting to about the right level, but we're struggling to get up. So let's just put that on top of there. Yeah, you can see that, can't you? It's a bit lower than overnights, but nonetheless. So I think a lot of times it'll recover a lot of this. So that's probably what's going to happen. So news is all done now. So yeah, it looks like we're probably going to recover a lot of this. That's interesting. If we can push below that EMA and get a lower high there, that may interest me. But I couldn't just take it there, just in case it does push up, which it's doing, I think. So if you took that short, I think you may be screwed unless it triggers above there and comes down. Yeah. So is it going to try again? So leg break, new high. So channel with a break. Can't think about short just yet, just in case we have two legs and it pushes up. So there was technically a second entry long there, but the trouble is we've rejected a long here so many times. I don't think I'm bringing myself to go long at the moment. 1, 2, 3. There's kind of a triple test there. But we haven't made a new high from this yet. We've made a matching high, so now we have. Okay, so small channel there with a break and a new high. Yeah, I just didn't want to go long there just in case, because we've kind of already tried to push up once. You don't know whether it's going to trigger and come down. It's just rejected here so many times. I really wouldn't want to go long there, especially as we've bounced under this twice, which was under where I initially had the overnight lows. So if it's rejecting off overnight lows, just going long here, two legs around, may just trap some longs there and then start pushing down. So for me, it's not something I was really interested in. So we're kind of got above all this, but is this coming down or is this going to push up higher? It's hard to say at the moment. So would you consider that a failed breakout? I took one of those the other day and lost it. So I'm staying tight, but I think that's pretty definitive. No, I don't like the bar now. So no, I don't like this. There's going to be long traders trapped there. Let me have a look on this other chart. It's triggered and starting to work down, so I wouldn't want to be in this trade now. So trading that as a failed breakout, just the fact that where it is, I don't think it's enough sideways for long enough, really. It's bound to stop that out unless it turns on this bearish bar. I wouldn't want to be in there. For me, that's going to get stopped out. Yeah, buy a tick. Gets a little bit hard to read, doesn't it? Overnight lows here, so my guess is this is probably coming. Well, there we go. This is probably coming down. We're comfortably below the EMA now, so we have made multiple attempts here. We got a touch above this, but nothing more. But we cleaned out any possible stops that may be along there. Well, I say we did. It didn't break above there. I think we had a matching high, but it's still a bit choppy. So channel with a break. See if we can get a lower high here. Lower high stroke second entry short. Let me just get an order up here just in case.
Order
I'm hoping we
submitted.
get a pullback there. That's a, yeah, it's going to, is it? It is frustrating that.
Order cancelled.
There is a lower high there, but the move's already been made. It's already 24 ticks down or 22 ticks from there. It's just gone too low, really. If that was sat under here, I may have a go of it, but that's just, it's asking for trouble, that is. If I'm going to go short here, I prefer an actual second leg up, 2 legs. That's okay to take, even if we technically broke the low, as long as it's 2 legs up. And usually trapping some bulls, it's all right to take. The trouble is with that, the move's already been made, really. And then what happens, it triggers and it's starting to push up. So it may hold, but my guess is That's vulnerable. Okay, so it did work. It did hold eventually. So channel break, 2 pushes to a new low. Could you share what is the name of this indicator that counts the bar size? That there, it's as it sounds. In fact, I'll give you a quick guess before I show you what you think it might be called, and it's not as difficult as you think. It's a real original name, and you'd have never have guessed it. It's called bar size counter. There you go. So if I select on it, and you got pen and paper, or you can freeze this back. That's where it's from. It is free. It's just called bar size counter, and it's from ticktech.com, TICKTEC.com, and it is free. But you can set it in points or ticks. I have it set to ticks. It just I can compute that a bit quicker. So ticktech.com, and it is free. So it's useful actually. It just gives you an idea of what you get yourself in for. So there you go, Mario. All right. ticktech.com. If you need anything else, mate, just let me know. Yeah. So leg and a leg, comfortably made 2 legs down. So this now to me, I'd say there's a fair chance we get down for a second leg. So whether it be down here somewhere, I'm guessing. We've had this move down, a little bit of sideways, made a few attempts to push higher. And it's not having none of it, so I'm guessing it's probably going to move down. No guarantees, but usually the more times it tries and fails, sooner or later it'll give up, I think. So I'm looking at this big leg down. I mean, what a drop at the last part of the day. What time was that? That was about 10 past, 8 UK time. That was a massive, monumental drop. 2 big, quick legs down. And that was pretty quick as well. So, yeah, 106 points really quickly within the space of 30 minutes, I'd say, something like that. Maybe not that. So let's say 8:15. 8:15, yeah, 35 minutes. Big move down that was. Wilson. So we had that big drop down, didn't we? Then we recovered more or less all of it, and then wham, down it came again. So I'm guessing leg down, a little bit of messing around, probably another leg down. If we get that second leg down, that's going to get us in the area of yesterday's lows anyway. So sorry, lads, where did you get it from? The indicator. This there, the bar size counter. Ticktech.com. I'll show you, bud. Bar size counter. I'll move it over there for a sec. TICKTEC.com. Ticktech.com, and it is free. But it is useful. It just gives you a quick update. You got it, everybody. Just to let you know what that current bar size is. As I say, you can set it to, I've got mine to ticks. Yeah. Ticks or points, whatever you want. So it's really useful actually. So I'm going to get rid of this a second, and I'm going to change that to that. So for me, that is what I'm looking at there. Somewhere along those lines. Let's put them down there, I think. Do I like that or not? Not really. So usually you'll trace it along here somewhere, and that will be a break. Or when we get a break there, we often get one out the top. We haven't really. So let's put that like that. I mean, really, you could argue we've already had a break, 2 pushes to a new low, so I think it's probably safer to leave it like that. 2 pushes to a new low. My guess is what I'm looking at now, it's probably going to come and test this area. But I am thinking, really, we've had this leg down. We've had 1, 2, 3 real attempts to push higher, so I think there's a good chance we make this second leg. May even argue for a spike and channel there. So, yeah, this is where I thought it may get down to. So even if I take that up to there, we've still had an overshoot. We've either had a break of it and a new extreme or an overshoot, in which case it could pull back. I wouldn't expect that to hold, though. That, to me, that buying bar, that bullish bar there is kind of floating in the middle of the bottom, so that's vulnerable, I think, especially with these lows. It may hold for a bit, but I think that'd go, that'd disappear. Usually that first one does. So I'm going to leave that there, I think. I know Thomas Wade's got that as well. I think it's best. You know, I always had this for a few years. I had this, if you think it's an overshoot, assume it is, and always avoid that first, second entry short. But I'm surprised that got up that far. So, yeah, I mean, if you were going to go off that top to there, you'd be doing something like that. And there's always a possibility, I suppose. I would say, excuse me, there's a small break there and a new extreme. Not sure what I think about this. No, it's actually gone back up, Jan, hasn't it? It usually comes, well, it started to come down. Excuse me. But then you got these three really big bars, so that kind of sends it up. But it's, yeah, I don't like that. I much prefer it under 3. Ideally, 2.5. I love it that way. A couple of ticks either side of it, a tick or so either side. Risk around about 3 points, which is where my profit is. So it's kind of a nice place to be. But yeah, it's a sensible comment, though, that is. You need to be a little bit uncomfortable with it. And we've still, same again, had a lot of price action, considering the market's only been open an hour. We had a phenomenal amount yesterday. I haven't seen that much price action in a long time. Usually, I could open that like that and see the individual bars, but if you think about where the close is and where the open is, there's no detail. Usually, I can get it to kind of look about like that, where I can sort of start to make sense of it. But yeah, there was a huge amount yesterday and that massive sell-off before we rally. It's weird, isn't it? We always seem to rally, don't we, towards the end of the day? Always seem to have that little rally. Same again, we had that big bearish bar, rally again. Chop, 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 rally towards the end of the day. End of the day, same again, little rally. Not a huge amount that time, but yeah, not a huge one. But usually, come the end of the day, I don't know what was going on there, but we usually have a rally. But it's really choppy here, isn't it? I mean, if you can swing trade and pick up these levels, you know, the potential to make good moves out of these, but no bars, big stops, yeah. The trouble is, just that risk is, you know, I mean, if you're trading 2 contracts, tick above, tick below, you're risking $500, $550, and that's the average. It, you know, it wouldn't be difficult to get stuck into a 6.5 or 7 point trade risk. You know, for instance, let's just take this one, a tick above, tick below. I mean, look at that. Even if you keep it tight, you're still risking 7.25. So if I've got 17 accounts there, I'm, you know, even on 1 contract, no, that's not right, is it? 2 contracts, we'll be risking $725. That's about $15,000 risk if I get that wrong. It's too much, I think, isn't it, really? I mean, that's the type of bar you'd trade, you know, second entry long maybe, triggers comes down. Fortunately, it worked, but you really got to be so careful. The trouble is, I've gone down from 2 to 1 contract, so my risk is half anyway, but I still wouldn't trade that bar. It's just too big. I can only hope price slows down. I mean, we started off big bars, didn't we? And the ATR was about 7. Then when the market opened, the bars tended to get a little bit smaller. It came down, but whether it was anything to do with the news, larger bars here, it's whipping up and down a bit. And it just makes it expensive if you get it wrong. Much better on a day like this, really, to do a little bit. And then if you feel like it's not coming down and it's too choppy, go and enjoy your day. I'm surprised you're still here, and you're usually done and dusted by now, mate, aren't you? Leg down, leg down. I mean, my gut is telling me this is going down, but just because you're confident it's going down doesn't mean you can get in. You've still got to wait for a setup, and you can still get chopped up, and it can come up, stop you out, and then still go where you believed it was going to go anyway. So channel down, maybe an overshoot, quite likely, but we had a stronger pullback, and then we continued down. Losing trade on an inbound course. I think I will skip the day. Sounds like the most sensible thing I've heard, mate, that. Yeah, don't ever feel, you know, like you're cheating yourself out or you're not putting the work in if you take a day off. Days like this can cripple you potentially. You get it wrong once, and you lose, like I say, $700 on 2 contract, or even $350. That can really ruin your day. So it's not often we get days that it's really high like this. What you can do is go down to a smaller chart. Potentially, the only trouble is the price actually going to be a lot quicker. But if you go down to, say, 1,000 tick chart, that takes it to 3.25. So technically, that's more manageable. You're going to get a lot more price action, but you know, sometimes it's a better option. We have this channel down, 2 legs up, you know, so that reduces the risk really per bar. I mean, the average bar now is less than 3.5 points. So, you know, second entry short there, maybe that worked. You know, so that's an option as well. Just change down to a smaller tick chart. It does make price move a little bit quicker because obviously there's double the amount of bars. But it's a better option if you want to continue to trade. But you don't want to risk, you know, 5 points or whatever it was. So, second entry short there. I don't think that's a terrible looking trade, but it hasn't triggered. 2 legs down. Actually, a nice little second entry there. Short to triple test. Yeah. See, for me, this is bearish at the moment. But yeah, I get your point. I mean, for me, we got this channel down. Whether we've had an overshoot, we've made 2 pushes to a new extreme. So I generally avoid shorts there temporarily just to figure out where it's going to go. It never triggered anyway, fortunately. Yeah, see, this has messed up the picture, isn't it? I still think we're going lower for sure, but getting into a trade is risky at the moment. So I don't think that's a terrible trade, actually. Technically, it is a second entry short there. Just because my concern is we have 2 legs up and then it comes down. I'm still thinking bearish at the moment. But that would have worked for some points. But same again, it was a large bar. Too rich for my blood. Let's bring that down a bit. So 6.5 points. No, that doesn't interest me. I think that ATR is lying. Last 2 signal bars I've marked off have been 6 odd points. He has it as arranged and says it looks more bearish. It does, because we've had this move down and we've made multiple attempts to push up and then it dropped. So we got this leg down and then sort of a bit of a pull back, and it for me it's just struggling to get above a certain level. So yeah, my overall is bearish, and it's enough to keep me out of long trades at the moment. But you know, I think a leg and a leg. It doesn't mean it'll just come down though. It may mess around. But the trouble is, when it's like this, it's very choppy. It's not cut and dry, as it's not straightforward. But we've reacted a couple of times there off that midline, haven't we, of this? So if we can get that push below that EMA, then I think it's probably okay to think about shorts again. Because there's going to be stops there, 100%, and there, and there. Let's have a look. So we've made 1 attempt to go higher, a second attempt See if you look, 1, 2, 3, push high after this, make a new extreme. We could get a triple test there, 1, 2, 3, and then maybe down. Yeah, trouble is when it's like this, you can get the direction right, but it doesn't mean it won't stop you off before it ends up, stop you out before it ends up going that way. So channel break, new extreme. Let's see if we get a triple test here. So pushed up, close below that midline. So 1, 2, 3. It is 2 legs up, isn't it? It's probably close to a measured leg, I'd say. Yeah. So I think Marco got into a trade. Where did he get in here? I think Marco took that, didn't he? Looks like it. Yeah, he did. He took that one. See, Marco goes for 6 ticks, which is half of what I go for. So I'd want to get out before those highs there. There's certainly ticks, 2 ticks. So if you get in there, Marco goes for 6 ticks. He's out there. But out before the highs, you struggle to get 3 points there. And you don't know whether it's going to do that or reject again like it did there or there. So what I will say is we got a little channel with a break. 1 push up to a new high. Are we going to get a second push up? Info, got to go. Yeah, you take it easy, buddy. So let's have a look. Okay, so channel break, 2 pushes to a new high. So that's all played out nicely. Let's see how far that gets this time. I think Marco went for 5 points there because of that ATR's high. The ATR's probably double where I'd like it. So yeah, if you do take a trade, definitely worth taking a little bit more profit out of it. If the risk's more, you've really got to make your profit in line with it, haven't you? In fact, thinking about this, doesn't it look like an inverse head and shoulders? We got a shoulder, head, shoulder, which is a bullish pattern in this case, isn't it? So that didn't seem to have any problems pushing up there. So let me just see if I can extend this. It doesn't look terrible. No. No, I'm going to put that back. I prefer that actually. So channel break, 2 pushes to a new high bearish bar. I'd like to think that's going to get back to that EMA. I just don't generally pick tops. I'm no good at it. That looks better. Got a small overshoot. We got a small overshoot there, or a breakout there, followed by a small one there. We usually get an opposite one. Chris, how you doing, buddy? Say. Could be, but I'd rather just give it that 2 pushes to a new high. There is a lower high there. If this gets below that EMA, I'm guessing it's probably going to come down. But if this is kind of rangy, then this is where you'd expect it to try and get to, wouldn't you? See if that lower high triggers. Oh. No sign of these bars getting smaller. 4.9. We're just literally floating at 5. Too much, that, I think. Look at that. Really quick pullback there. I mean, that was about a 14-point drop quickly. 7.7. What are you looking at it, bud? Got mine at 4.86 at the moment. What chart are you looking at? You must have a bigger chart there, haven't you? A different time frame. 2 legs down, high or low. I just don't want to trade around this middle because it could go up further or it could come down. I'm not sure whether I like this channel. I mean, you may argue there's a small overshoot, which is why we may get the correction. Yeah, long gear may work, but it might not work. I mean, it ain't finished yet, and it's already 26 ticks. That's too rich for my blood. This may get trapped. You're on the mini. I'm on the mini. You mean the micro? You're on the micros, are you? So it is 2. If you like this, it is 2 legs back, so that may work. I'm just not taking it. It's 25 ticks. It's just, I got no idea what it's going to do with it. It could go up, it could drop down. You're on the micros, yeah. Looks like it's working. Trouble is, it's not a great looking setup, and if you get it wrong, that's going to sting. 26 ticks. That's horrendous. That is. Tick above, tick below. 28 ticks. You don't want to be risking 28 ticks. It's nearly 6.5 points. Madness that. I mean, unless it was a great setup, it's not even a great setup, is it really? And that is not what you want to see. 26 signal bar. Yeah, I'm not sure about this because this is just... I don't know is the answer. I just don't like the way it wicked back a little bit. What I will say is there's a failure there. It's triggered that short. Trouble is, struggling a bit. So, what's your plus setup? My plus setup. When you say plus setup, you mean my best setup, yeah? I think that's what you mean, isn't it? I just want to see where this goes. I'll answer in a sec, bud. Yeah, so if you're in that trade now, all of a sudden it doesn't look so rosy, does it? Let's see if it'll stop that out. It may hold, but I wouldn't want to be in that trade now. One, it's too big. And two, I just don't like what I'm looking at. It's right around that middle line and it can cause you some troubles. You got 6 ticks, yeah. Trouble is 6 ticks for a 26 risk. It's massive. Yeah, and it just got stopped out. So, yeah, the trouble is taking 6 ticks on a day like this when the ATR's double, it can really get you into, so if you're getting a tick above it, what did it go for? So 3.5 points. Yeah, I don't know. It is 2 legs down. I just don't like it. It's right around that middle line, and we know there's a lot of support around there. But and not only that, the overshoot. Generally, I avoid that first sort of setup because of the possible overshoot. 2 legs back would be a better option for me. But yeah, it's just such a big risk for such a little bit of profit. You know what I mean? So if you go a tick below there to above it. You're risking 28 ticks to get 6. You're risking like what, 5? I don't know. We're risking 4 to make 1, somewhere along those lines, and it's just so big for 6 ticks. I know Marco usually trades 6 ticks. I know he's taking a lot more at the moment because of the ATR. I think Marco took 5 points on one, which is unusual for Marco. He usually goes for 6 ticks. Yeah, look here. He got in there. He said I took it for 5 points more because of the high ATR, and that is quite a lot for Marco. I just don't like the way it wicked back a bit. If it wasn't so big, then it might not be terrible, you know. But it's around that middle as well, and that just, you don't know what it's going to do before it eventually pushes up. That's if it does. But all of a sudden now, this is looking like it may come down again. See, straight away the overshoot can result in a bigger correction, and that may be it, or it can result in a full-out reversal. Sometimes it'd break, push up, make a new high, and turn. But it's just such a choppy day today, and you can really get you in trouble. I mean, if you'd have lost that $725 or however many you go for on an evaluation or something like that, I'd have probably had a go at it. Yeah. But I treat those. I'm mad on those, to be honest with you. I'm not doing any more at the moment. I'm just sticking with 17 now. It's just not worth it, because when I get a new account, I just take too riskier trades. Now I've got some money in there, I tend to go into protection mode, but I still have that little bit of silliness at times. So we tried a bunch of times to go up. We tried again there. We had two little pushes there, and then it sold off. We couldn't get much higher there. So, you know, I'm still thinking it's generally a bearish day at the moment. We got that push down. A lot of times we'll see that it'll push down, go sideways and push down. And if it does, I'm guessing it'll get somewhere down here. Whether it'll have another attempt or not, God only knows. But you may find we do something like that. I don't know. Leg and leg. Yeah, see with that one, if you're on two contracts, well, if you're on one contract, no, sell a lie, two contracts, you'll be risking $725 to make 150. Yeah, it's not. I mean, you're gonna have to win a lot of trades in a row to sort of get those, but trouble is you have to do what you think's right. It's the only way you learn, really. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes you get stung. Don't get me wrong, I've taken plenty of trades like that before that have backfired on me, because it also doesn't look terrible. It is two legs. The overshoot generally keeps me out of any kind of longs initially. You may argue it's kept you out of that one, but then when we've pushed over, and what I didn't like is the way we pushed up, and if you remember, that bar just dropped suddenly, didn't it? So that's just, and then that whipped back a little bit, but it did grind a little bit before dropping. But that is a better correction for an overshoot like that, and that looks like it is pushing up. That's the type of trade I don't mind taking sometimes. These type of obvious corrections. Yeah, see, Dan has got that. Two pushes to a new high. And then he's got that. Somewhere along those lines. Small break, new extreme. So bullish bar there, triggered, stopped out. Is this a triple test? Certainly looking like it now, isn't it? That was a fair move. It's definitely moving today, market. No argument about there. There's about 18, 19 points there straight down. Where are we? So 5, 10, 15, yeah. Yeah. When you can see what happened in the chart, it makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? But in real time, we don't have that luxury. It'd be nice if we did, wouldn't it? But yeah. Clearly 3 attempts to push up, followed by a drop. But the trouble is, kind of, if you get in here, I mean, we've had 3 attempts and it's dropped, but if you get in short here, it can trigger you, stop you out, and still come down. And obviously, we can't tell that, can we? We can only sort of see it. But yeah, a good point. When it's moved, we know exactly what it did, and you can't kind of unsee it, really, can you? It is a shame, isn't it? I've often dreamt about having an anonymous email showing me the chart for the day before the day started. Wouldn't that be nice? Imagine being able to see exactly what happened. Wow, you'd make yourself a fortune, wouldn't you? I know it. Am I the only sad person that dreams about stuff like that? Knowing what the chart's going to do? I think it's just me, isn't it? I have these weird dreams about that. I've had them quite a few times, actually. Trend line. Connecting the tops and see what the highs felt good. Let's have that. Sign me up. It would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be. Yeah, I mean, it could be. The only bit that puts me off it is all this bit here. I think it's moving more like a range with a dip. Now, at the moment, not massive fan of it, but if we come down here and then push back up, obviously a different story. You know what I mean? But I don't think it looks terrible. I mean, it's kind of not helpful in a way, knowing it anyway, unless we come back up to this level and you're thinking about going along from the bottom to the top, then, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it's certainly possible. Sometimes I'll say no and I'll come back later and it'll fit nice. You know what I mean? But I don't think it really helps us at the moment. What I will do, though, is put a connect the dots type thing just in case it comes back up to this level. Because if I'm thinking we bounced off the bottom, we're coming up, I decide to go long around here, then it's worth paying attention. So certainly, it's clearly struggling. I think for me anyway, it's clearly struggling. I think a leg, but I think once we get below these, we may test it and then drop some more. But the trouble is, it may chop you up in the meantime. So unfortunately, especially for a scalper taking small moves, sometimes these whipping around can chop you up. I mean, if you decide to take a short here somewhere and you put your stop up here and your profit down here, then you got a lot less chance of getting chopped up. But because we sort of go for small moves, when it is like this, it can do a little bit of damage. You know, you might have got the direction exactly right, but so I think it's always good to for instance, this leg down here with the break. See how we got 2 legs down. See how we got a second entry long there. They're going to be thinking, the longs are going to be thinking, yeah, we've trapped the shorts. And then what happens? It ticks above and comes down. So now I've seen this. That wouldn't be a bad short. You'd expect a second leg down, then it's exactly what it did, and it continued down. So, you know, I'm trying to make my trading more about, am I trapping traders in the other direction? Because we've come off the tops. Chances are we're going to come down because we've done it multiple times. We just couldn't get up here. So chances are we're going to come down. So when you get a second entry long that's trapping shorts there as well, and it triggers and comes down, they're kind of oh shit type things. So whether they got stops there or whatever, but then it works. So it is always good to, if you can trap traders in the opposite direction, that does help with them. That does help with the momentum. And the same with a potential line. Yeah, it's worth you know, having this. Definitely. But we're definitely swinging violently today, aren't we? You know, these swings really are from anywhere from around about sort of, they're certainly kind of like 35 points down, 35 points up, 35 points up. It's really swinging. But it's been a lot like this. Markets have been really chopping around, haven't they? So ordinarily in a range, you may think about channel break new low. You may think about taking a higher low here, and that probably worked to the EMA. But the trouble is, it may push up a bit higher, but you know, when the overall thing is bearish, I mean, to be honest with you, it's choppy as shit there anyway, so it's probably not the wisest. Will it push up there? Probably. But the bar hasn't, you know, it's a tick or two off a completely neutral bar, isn't it? And that bullish bar's an inside bar anyway, so I mean, we could have a leg down. It could come straight down now, couldn't it? But we are slowly losing traction, aren't we? I will show you. It's on my other chart up here. That one there. Channel down, 2 clear legs up. Bearish bar, ticking above there, pushing strong down. That is more like a penguin style trade. 2 legs up, strong push down below the EMA. After that move down. So let's have a look. Yeah, I think all the stuff with the markets, you know, all the stuff about, you know, with Trump and Zelensky and all that, that's probably not helping, is it? All the tariffs and all the there's just a bunch of stuff which is causing a little bit of instability and a bit of volatility at the moment. Hopefully that'll settle. I think Zelensky has sent a letter to Trump, hasn't he, which Trump received and seemed quite pleased about. So hopefully stuff will get sorted in the not so distant future, hopefully the next days or weeks, which might settle things over in that area. And hopefully these tariffs, whether they're going to continue or not, I don't know, but you know, they're sort of having that backlash or that reaction from Canada, and you know, rightly so. So that's obviously creating some volatility, isn't it? So let's see where this goes. Why it wouldn't interest me buying off there. I mean, there is a higher low, but it triggers and comes down. Now, if you're treating it as a range, that's the type of area you'd be thinking about buying, really. Channel break, new low. You could say 1, 2, 3, it's a triple test, but obviously the overall for me has more of a bearish feel to it. And you can see when we're getting up, we're progressively struggling. So at some point, the straw's going to break, and this may do it here. Now, it may break out and push back in, but you know, for me, price is slowly losing traction, I think. Trap trader, yeah. I used to get trapped something chronic. It used to absolutely infuriate me. And even when I started doing PAs, what I found is what I do, as soon as I get trapped and triggered, I jump straight in the opposite direction. And in a lot of cases, you do get triggered, and then it'll end up going the same direction. It's almost like the market's there watching you and thinking, there we go, here's another sucker. We've trapped him. Now we'll go in the same direction just to rub salt into the wound. It used to absolutely infuriate me. But the good thing about getting trapped and getting infuriated, you do learn not to get trapped. Now, occasionally I still get trapped, but nowhere near as much as I used to. In fact, it's a good idea to recognise traps and you can capitalise from it. There's one I mentioned earlier, second entry long. You know, straight away they're thinking, yeah, we've got these shorts trapped. And that may be the case, but then when it triggers and comes down, that's a better option to go short there. It's a little second entry short, stroke long failure, trap in some longs there, maybe some stops down there. Possibly something, and eventually it works. So if you can spot traps, it can maybe help you make a little bit of money out of them. My trading's improved since I've become a trapper, not absolutely. You do learn, it does teach you. You learn way more from your losses than you do from your wins. You're happy, you move on, you know what I mean? You congratulate yourself, aren't you? Yes, feeling great. But you don't learn as much as your losses. Your losses are a real lesson, aren't they? So it did, you know, we're clearly losing momentum, aren't we? And I did wonder whether it was going to trap some shorts there and break below there. I didn't know it would come straight down. I certainly thought it may do. So, you know, if it does come down to this area, then maybe that bigger channel is more valid. I mean, it doesn't help your trading. You know, we can clearly see there's more of a bearish feel to it. But a leg and a leg. I definitely think these areas are quite feasible now, aren't they? We got this leg down there. Big rally at the end of the day. We did attempt to go higher and then it just sold off and just couldn't get above here really. And then we've had leg down and a leg down. So it was kind of looking that way. I never assume now, because when I've assumed, it's got me into trouble. So I never automatically assume if we've had a break from a channel, we must make a new extreme, because we don't always. So we got a leg down there and a leg down there. So maybe get a small pullback here, but I think there's a good chance we'll get down a little bit further. So yeah, I can't tell you how many times I'm desperate to get in to make a new extreme when the market starts to go slow and struggles, and all of a sudden, as soon as I find a half-arsed trade, I get in there and wham, down it comes. Ruins. So we've got two smaller legs down there, a leg and a leg, and two smaller legs. So I expected a small pullback. This illusion, noon wants to trap you. Are you on about no one wants to trap you? Yeah, I don't think it's. I've heard, interviews with traders saying. I was listening to an interview with Thomas Hugard and saying he laughed at the question You know, traders aren't out to trap you. They're not after, you know, all this. They're not out to get you. They're not, you know, it's all a big myth. So, yeah, I mean, it's a case of liquidity. You know, if traders are going long and there's not enough buyers in there, makes sense there's going to be liquidity there, which is why it tends to pick off these areas. But yeah, no one's specifically out to get you, really. It feels like that. It's quite hard not to take it personally sometimes, but no one's really out to get you. It doesn't generally work that way. Well, from what I gathered, because I know people like Thomas Hugard. He is a retail trader, but he has worked in the banking system and investment. You know, some of these bigger institutions. So he's kind of seen it from both sides of the picture. So we have had 2 legs down, so it makes sense we're going to get a pullback. But are we going to push further up, or are we going to continue down? Just going to bring this up a bit in case we get a second leg up there and it tests this underside. Yeah, it's just frustrating. Yeah, no one's out to get you, really, are they? Everyone's thinking about their own ways. It's just how liquidity works. You know, if there's easy liquidity down here to pick off, just looking how everyone else is doing today, and Nut has been battered. I don't like to see. He's a nice guy, Nutty. I think he's just lost. No, 1 year. I got you. I think he's just blown 5 accounts. Yeah, it's not an easy market. I think it's down a bit, isn't he? I'm quite glad I'm at 0 or close to it. What's it doing? How's Alpine doing? He's down a bit as well. Sam, I was just thinking about you last night. I was going to message you. I forgot you were taking a break. I forgot about it. I was just thinking last night. I thought I haven't heard from you for a while. How are you getting on, mate? It's good to take a break. Clears your head. I still have the odd difficult day. I lost 3 accounts the other day. Well, they were newer accounts. They were in the red. I took stupid risks with them. Yeah, they're starting to grow slowly. I'm starting to get that more of a sensible trader that I want to be, but I still have those little niggles from time to time. I took 2 trades, 2 losses. ATR was high. I've gone down to 1 contract and I was down $500 on all my accounts, and I got to say it really hurt. But I managed to come back and got another couple of trades which got me close, and I took a trade yesterday which recovered all that. So you can recover for it. At the time it doesn't feel like it hurts. I've got to say that $500 per account over 20 accounts, that was $10,000. Man, it hurt me for a couple of days, that did. But up until now I've forgotten all about it now, because you recover and you kind of move on. But it's not easy. You know, it's very, very slow process, and I still have my moments. I had 3 accounts that were still down a bit, and I took stupid risks with them and ended up blowing them. But now, once they get a bit of money, I tend to... I took a trade at 15.32, large risk, but it worked for ATIX. to round about here, one of these. I think Marco took that one anyway. I'm guessing it's around about there, isn't it? I think either of those were okay, to be honest with you. Fell second entry. That one there, yeah, Marco took that one or that one. I don't think it really matters. In fact, it's a large one there, but I think you stop safer than there. I'd rather be in that one than that one, because sometimes it'd come down, take out the early ones and leave the better one. But that, yeah, in fact, it's come down a bit today. It's actually under 4 now, but it has been really choppy. But it's not easy. It's not easy. But best thing I can say to you, mate, less trades, more success. That's what I've noticed for my trading. Less trades, more success. But it is a bit slower. Yeah, well, I the last couple of months, as they've been hitting payout and they've been coming available, I've taken money out. The trouble is, if you get to $2,600, excuse me, and you withdraw 500, it takes you down to 21. You get a loss or two, and you're back onto that $2,000. So, and it's hard to keep track because you get messages here from Plane, they've sent it. Message from Revolut, you've had money saying. Apex saying congratulations on your pay. So I'm starting to lose track of payments here or there, and it's easy to make a mess and trade the wrong account. So what I've decided to do this month is trade them all. And the last week, I'm going to look at them and say, okay, I'll take this, that, and the other, and you know what I mean. One trade a day. I tell you what, mate, I think that is, something. I had a phone call from a guy called Joe, which it was about 2.5 years ago from the US. And he said, I've been watching your stream, and he says, you're exactly like I was. And he said, my advice to you is just to take one trade a day, what happened. And as nice as he was, what he told me went straight in one ear and out the other. Now, 2.5 years on, I think that is an incredibly sensible thing. Oops, sorry. To look at the markets one a day. I rarely take more than one trade a day. Rarely. If I take a trade, the chance of me taking another one is slim. So I think it's a good idea, that is. Lack of trades, of payouts, and the type of losing track of payouts is a new type of problem. Yeah, it is, yeah. I know I shouldn't moan, really, should I? It's nice to get them, but yeah, the trouble is every day I'm getting a bit from here or a bit from there. Not a huge amount of payouts, but I think it's better just to focus on one day at a time. And at the end of the month, I even considered trying to hide all the account sizes and forgetting about how much is there and just kind of focusing on, one day at a time. But I know I shouldn't moan about losing track of payments, should I? But I know, yeah. You can almost hear the violin in the background, can't you? But no, I was bits here, bits there, and it does drop your accounts before they kind of know. Yeah, I know you are. But yeah, so I'm just focusing on now, just trading for the month, and then the last week of the month, I'll go through the accounts and say a bit of this, bit of that. But they're growing all right now, so there's just under $30,000 in there. 31 is the highest I was. So when you think about it like that, that's something worth protecting, isn't it? And you really want to be protecting that. The trouble is with prop, if someone gave you $10,000 to put into an account, one, you've got money. Two, you've got money to make money. And three, you've got money to protect, and you can potentially get payouts straight away. But with Apex and PAs, you literally start from zero. So you've got to make a pot to protect. And when you've got nothing and you get a fresh PA account, same again, it's very easy to take a risk because you've got nothing to protect, really, apart from the price of your PA. And I know it's not the right way to look at it, but it's kind of how it is. I think GAT is playing a role in you turning the corner. Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. See, I was taking 2 contracts and I had one loss. The trouble is with that, I found I was getting scared to take a trade because if I lost the trade, I'd be out for the day. So I thought, reduce it by half and give myself the opportunity to 2 losses, because if I think a trade's worth taking, then I'll take it. And it is to slowly get used to having that loss and still trading, if you know what I mean. So I can, take a loss and then still think I've still got to focus now, and it gives you back that little bit of responsibility rather than saying 1 and Guardian Angel, takes you off. So we got 2 legs back, possible lower high here. But I'm going to sit, I was going to say I'm going to sit tight here anyway. I prefer 2 more legs. But yeah, you haven't got Guardian Angel Trader, Sam, have you? If you haven't got it, mate, get it. I tell you what, it can really save you bacon. So leg and a leg. Where's my other chart gone? So channel break, new high. Still, it's worth it, but I think it's about £300, £300 UK. So 2 legs up, bearish bar, no setup for us. But I mean, if you lose 3 PA accounts, you've covered your losses. And it's great because there's a multitude of different settings you can have. For instance, if you're taking more than 1 trade a day, you can have time out, so you can get it to lock you out of trades for X amount of minutes after a trade. So there is a second entry short on my other chart, but it's a massive bar. It is a channel down with 2 attempts to push up, so it'll probably work. But I'm not getting in for 26 ticks, tick above, tick below. I'm guessing it'll make 3 points. So I'd have to hit 3.25 there. It is 2 legs up, so it would work. I may have opted for a lower high there, but we got this 2 legs down, 2 legs up, strong push below the EMA. I think that's coming down, so it would have worked. But I'm just not risking 26 ticks, tick above, tick below at the moment. It's just too much. It's not the best set in the world, but it is a little channel with a break and a new high. But it is a little bit more of a risky trade. If I was taking an evaluation, yeah, I would have done that. ATR is still a little high. It's still creeping around the 4, but that was a particularly big bar, that was. It's good to have a break, mate. Clear your head, get it out your system, because if you... I think a lot of the times I struggled because I didn't have a break. I've had very little breaks since I started trading. I bet I haven't had, apart from bank holidays and the obvious, I bet I haven't had 10 days off in the last 3.5 years. Because I kind of don't like to lose. I don't like to get beaten. You know what I mean? But when I have had little bits of time off, it has made a difference. But the trouble is, if you don't take a break, you're trading frustrated, and that's the worst time to be. There's nothing like coming into market when you're wound up because what happened yesterday or on Friday or whatever. It's good to get a break and clear your head. Otherwise, you're asking for trouble, really. And trouble is, I'm a bit stubborn, really. I don't come over as competitive, but I don't like to lose. I like to win at everything I do. Man, if I'm playing Monopoly, I hate losing. So I love a challenge, and if someone says you can't do something, I will move hell and high water to prove them wrong. And I have had 1 or 2 family members when I started trading that have said to my wife, "Why is he doing that though? Surely it's for, guys with financial degrees and just super clever people like that." And when I hear something like that, I'll either get there or die trying. So I am super competitive. But I really at times should have had time off, and I didn't, and it cost me money. So if you're struggling, you're frustrated and you're blowing up accounts, take a week off, definitely. You know, get yourself in a room with a bottle of something and just get leathered and help clear your mind. I don't like that, actually. So, yeah, a good break from this can perform miracles. So, Marco took this. Oh, no, tell a lie. Marco took the long there. Bottle of Scotland's finest. In fact, I had my first ever British single malt the other day. It wasn't that bad either. I've never had a British. I've had a Japanese and I've had a Welsh one, but I've never had a British single malt. It was okay. Only downside is my wife's developing a taste. 1, 2, 3 triple. Yeah, so Marco took the higher low off there. I don't think that was a bad trade, actually. From where? I can't remember. It's like a rectangular bottle. Scottish malt is British. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know if they've... Yeah, I didn't think that. English, I should have said. Yeah, you just think British, Scottish, don't you? When it comes to single malt, you think, really, Scottish, it's got to be Scottish, isn't it? Yeah. It was all right, though, actually, to be fair. So, that is a triple test. Trouble is, it's massive again. 36 with a tick above, tick below. Yeah, I know you're messing, mate. I know you're only messing. Britannia and all that. Absolutely. I know Trump's got another state visit, isn't he? I remember seeing him with the Queen. I don't know if I've ever seen Trump look so uncomfortable walking around the Queen, not knowing where to go. So that is a triple test, and that is, you know, a reasonable selling, but it's just too big in all fairness. It looked better on my other chart. 1, 2, 3 triple test. But at the moment, it is just ranging a little bit. I think it'd probably come down. So, yeah, Marco took that higher low. I don't think it was a bad trade, actually. It was a triple test. The thing is, at the moment, I'm thinking just bearish, which is why I just stayed out of it. I'm not very good at picking tops and bottoms. It's never been one of my strengths. In fact, even Marco's bought a Guardian Angel trader. He still found it tough at times when he has a bad day. He messaged me the other day and we had a little chat. So he's even purchased Guardian Angel trader. So, you know, even people who, you know, have been doing it a while, you know, still have their difficult times sometimes. I think it happens to us, everybody, once in a while. We have tough days. Yeah, I would, mate. It's definitely worth getting. You know, if you lose the price of 3 accounts, what's that? Really, $125. So let's call it 100 quid. So 3 accounts blown. You know, it'll pay for itself. So that did work for 3 points comfortably, depending on where you got in. It was a triple test, but bars are just big. I certainly wouldn't be interested in that one. I'm guessing if it does push down there, there's going to be a ton of stops there. Boom. A little push there, eating some of those up. So are we going to drop now? Cheap compare, yeah, absolutely. what number am I up to now? My lowest one is 115. So I've blown 114 accounts, probably a couple in the middle as well. So probably 118 PA accounts I've blown. Now, over the space of 3.5 years or a little bit more when trading Pats, probably not a huge amount. It's probably only maybe 40 a year, 30, 40 a year. So not a huge amount compared to some, I dare say, but will certainly save you a lot. I've blown a lot less more recently. So it looks like we're likely to make this second big leg down, I think. And I'm looking at that as well, leg down there, and maybe something else down here, but they're all in roughly in that vicinity. And yesterday's lows kind of run right below the middle. So leg down, 3 attempts to push up, leg down again. I didn't see many people taking that. No one took it that I can see. No, Dan didn't take it. To be fair, I didn't like it on here. It did look better here. Trouble is, it can still trigger and push up. So is that breakout pullback? Okay, excuse me a second. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. A second. Aye. Break new high. Are we pushing down? Maybe. Maybe a small break there. I think there probably is. No setup here anyway, really. There was on my other chart, but still it's just kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. Whether there's something coming down here, maybe. It's just not. Trouble is, the less steep it is, the less unreliable it is. Still got that bearish feel to it for me. So I think we're probably going to get down here. Oh, incidentally, did I put on my chart? Oh, I did, yeah. Right, the Apex 8% off has been extended for a week, near enough, 8 days. Come on then. Come on. Oh, your head's there. Your head's there. Move out of the way. Sit there. Sit there. Sit. There you go. How's that? Hey? Who's this cutie? That is Wilson. That cockapoo. Little lad, aren't you? Hey. Mm-hmm. Aren't you? Come on then. Come on then. Come back up. Come on. There we go. Yeah, like that. Okay. And some chap. Did you hear that? You love dogs. Yeah, we got two of them. We got two cockapoos. Chocolate brown one and this scraggy, dirty cream one at the moment. They're due baths, aren't they? Hey? Yeah, we love dogs. We're dog lovers in this house. You have a cocker spaniel? Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? They are nice. They are nice. This one has got a bit of separation anxiety with me. If I go and have a bath, he'll howl outside the door. He didn't like to be away from me. I come back from the shop, he'll howl as soon as I pull up outside. He doesn't like being away from me. He follows me around the house everywhere. We have a real nice relationship, we do. Don't we? Hey, we do, don't we? Yeah, we called him Wilson after Castaway. Well, part Castaway, part House. But if we take him out for walks and you're shouting Wilson, you get some funny grins. Trading companion. Yeah, most of the time he's under the desk now. He sits under the desk most of the time. But he's got a tendency of howling. Well, it's more of a howling, crying sound. People think I know sometimes when he's howled, people come running, think he's been injured, but yeah, he just howls. We had a workman come around the house, having some solar panels fitted. And when I let the workman in, I shut him in the living room. In 2 minutes, he was howling. So he just doesn't like me going out the house at all. It's weird how they attach themselves to you, but... So what is going on here? You named him after V. Wilson. Yeah. No, he's 6 years old now. It's before I started training. He's 5 or 6. About 6, I think he is. But he's like a baby. Yeah, I'll show that picture. When was this? This was about 5 years ago. He's literally like a baby. He'll just sit there and hug you. But yeah, he's a real baby. Can't go anywhere without me. And that's the other one. That's the other one, Molly. She's about 7, I think. They're about a year or so apart. She's got those real kind of puppy dog eyes she gives you. I've messed around with them. I messed around, well, quite a few times actually. I messed around with the 1,000, the 1,200 and the 1,500. I've tried them all, and I think they all kind of have their merit. You know, from a Pat's trader point of view, Mac will tell you you can trade any chart, any time frame, and it all gives you the same kind of price action. 2,000 seems to be the most clear. If you go too low, it can cloud the picture up, and if you go the other way, so I mean, if you have a look here, if I bring this one in here, let's just move this over a bit. I played around with all sorts, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, 1,200. I mean, if you go up to the 4, it gets rid of a lot of the noise and it can become a bit clearer. So, you know, usually I'll have another chart with the 10,000 on just to give me a little bit of a picture, but we got this pushed down, a couple of attempts to go higher. So I've messed around with them all, really. Just to see what they do. And sometimes you'll see a trade. I had a second chart which I traded, the 1,500 tick chart for a while, and that seemed to do okay, but then you'll have time where it won't, and the 2,000. So I think it swings and roundabouts. It's a kind of a bit of everything, really. Now we got channel down, 2 possible legs up here. Leg and a leg. It's just hard to know what's really going on here. Trouble is, this is bearish. It could trigger and push a bit higher. But so far we are testing that underside. So I was kind of hoping we'd have 2 legs up and then come down again, but I mean, we did have a leg and a leg nicely, didn't we? So that the trouble is, when it's like this, sometimes it just doesn't give you anything and it just chops around. The more it chops around, you naturally start to feel a bit you have that kind of trust issues with it, you know what I mean? I tell you what, cockapoos are expensive as hell. We considered getting a third one about 12 months ago. £2,500. It's shocking. I think we paid about 600 for ours, 500-600 for ours, something like that. £2,500. That was a year and a half ago. Shocking, the price of them. So, channel with a little break. Let's see what happens here. Trouble is, when it is like this, it's we're getting that. You got a baby on the way. Oh, good for you, mate. Good for you. First one. You never forget your first. Mind you, I've only got one. Scared the shit out of me, I will say. Yeah, having a child was kind of, it was kind of the best thing that ever happened to you, and the worst in a strange way, because it scares the shit out of you. You know, you think you worry about your wife or your mum or your parents or something. It's nothing compared to how you worry about your kids. You literally turn into a potential murderer overnight. I had a really bad experience. I did. I don't know, that sounds a bit selfish, but when my daughter, say, okay, quick rundown. I had a business which went down around about 2008, 2007, 2008 when we had the credit crunch, and we had to sell our house. We owned our own home, so I temporarily, my wife, moved in temporarily with my mum. And my wife fell pregnant with my daughter Emily, and wow, look at that! Flipping hell, what's going on here? Somebody said something, unless it's just eating loads of stops. When my daughter was born, it was day 8, and she was in a pram, and we were at my mum's. She was pushed against the wall with the pram down, and I was just literally rubbing her under the chin, and I had my arm on the wall. And I hadn't really paid any attention, but my mum had 2 stone gargoyles there. And all of a sudden, one flew past me and landed in the pram. And I've got to say, I have never felt that much fear and panic in my life like that. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And my mum come running over saying, she's fine. It didn't hit. How the hell it didn't hit her, I don't know. And from then on, I remember literally absolutely breaking down in tears uncontrollably. I'm not a cry person, but I could not control myself. And from then on, I ended up panicking all the time. I was having anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I was imagining things happen, all sorts. And I ended up having kind of a near-on breakdown. I just couldn't cope with it, with the worry and the panic of it all. And I got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, which you tend to think of for people who've been in battle. But the doctor said, no, anything that happens traumatic, especially when it's family members or children, it can really affect you. And that affected me, I'd say, for about 3 years until I kind of fully recovered. But it's weird. You kind of worry about your parents or this, that, and the other. But when you have kids, it can. You're not going to have the same experience as me. It was just unfortunate that happened and that triggered something. But it's fantastic having kids. There's nothing nicer than little bundles of joy, especially when they. I still remember the first. When she was young, I used to jog home from work in my lunch hour, and I used to crawl in on my hands and knees and see that big beaming grin. Having kids is lovely, but it does come with worries until they're teenagers. Yeah, I don't worry so much. My daughter's 16 now. I don't worry so much, but I was more worried about falling over and hurting herself, really. So because I was overprotective, I went OTT. We had one of those, those sort of thick glass clear units with rounded ends, 3-tier thing, which our TV was on. I got that grey pipe lagging and put it across the front of it. I got all the safety things to jam them indoors to stop, trapping the fingers. I really went OTT with panicking. I had a temperature monitor. Every time it hit 19 degrees, if it went a bit hot, I'd turn it down or open the window a bit every time it went too low. So I just, it was a really stressful experience for me, I got to say, which lasted probably a fair few years, really, until I started not worrying as much. But that's just, that was just my experience. But it's funny, actually, the doctor I saw, because I started taking anti-anxiety medication for a while because I was panicking. And I happened to see a male doctor and talk to him, and he said exactly the same happened to him. His daughter, his baby, was on the bed, and he got up to turn the TV out, and when he sat down, she'd rolled underneath him. And as he sat down with his full weight, he said, I heard the air push out of her, and exactly the same as him, he suffered with anxiety and all that sort of thing. It's weird, isn't it? How did I get over that panic? Just time. But I remember for days after just holding it and just sobbing. I couldn't control myself, and I'm not a crying type person. But it affected me that much. I'd waited, to have a child for such a long time. And at 8 days old, I generally thought I killed my child, and I don't know how the hell people get over that, but it took a long time. I'd say I had panic attacks and anxiety for probably a few years after, but it slowly wore off. But I couldn't imagine if it would. It never hit her. How it didn't hit her, I don't know, but it definitely changed me as a person. I used to be a lot more confident. Nothing scared me. Nothing worried me. I wasn't fearful of anything really, apart from spiders maybe, but that's just between us. But and it just changed me. It kind of put a chink in my armour, but yeah, it took a long time to get over it. But yeah, I mean, for 4 or 5 years, I was taking anti-anxiety stuff. I just couldn't control it. I'd always, made a bit of fun of people with anxiety, get over it and all this sort of stuff. But when you have it yourself and you realise sometimes it can go to the extent where you can't control it. I mean, we all have fear, don't we? But the fear for me then, it came up and it engulfed you and you couldn't control it. And it was I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But I remember the first time I had a panic attack, she was probably about 4 or 5 months old, because this thing started when she was 8 days and it just progressed. And I remember my wife was taking her out somewhere for the day and I wasn't comfortable with it. And it was playing on my mind walking to work. And I remember getting into work and I started sweating. My chest started feeling tight. I started feeling lightheaded. I thought I was having a heart attack. And as I came into work, my security guard said, "You don't look well, mate." So he called a taxi, which came straight out and took me at the hospital, and they plugged me up in all sorts of monitors. And that was it. It just turned out that it was a panic attack. Once they did an ECG and said, everything's fine with that, what's been happening in your life? And when I started talking about this, and that's how it come. And it's strange, you think you would feel relief that you wouldn't have a heart attack, but I was aware that panic attacks you can keep getting them, and that really scared me. Strange, really, how stuff like that can affect you, but it really changed me for a long time. I kind of wasn't the same person that I was, and that's how powerful having kids can be. I mean, you're not going to have the same experience I am, and I don't want to put you off on nothing. Not that it's kind of too late for you, but it, having kids, really, it just goes to show you worry about kids, and how you literally turn into a potential murderer. But yeah, it doesn't affect me anymore. Now she's a teenager, and her mouse started working very successfully. But yeah, it's scary, definitely scary. It was, and it was really. It's amazing how much of a change it had on me, and you don't realise it until you kind of, you kind of look at it later on. But yeah, it was. That's how I kind of described it. That it was the best thing that ever happened to me, and kind of the worst in a strange way. Now, I don't tend to use VWAP, but I have it on my other chart just out of interest, just to see what it does. And if you can see how we pushed up and bounced off it here, we did exactly the same there. Look at that strong push down. Yeah, I don't pay much attention to it, but somebody mentioned, I think it was Tony, we were chatting with it the other day, and I just put it on my second chart just to see how it kind of sometimes can, can affect price. But what I would say to you, Sam, I will give you a piece of advice. Get plenty of sleep now, because the first, I'd say 2 months is kind of a complete blur. Yeah, get plenty of sleep now, plenty of rest now, because when they come along, you're going to be busy, but in a nice way. So this is just shopping around at the moment, isn't it? Is it going to go up? Is it going to come down? We have kind of got a failure there, but it's nice when it traps some balls. I can't see many people buying there, especially there. So it may push up above that. It doesn't look like it's trapping anything significant there. But there is a higher low there, but that hasn't triggered. It has triggered on my second chart. But in all honesty, this, it's okay to take some of this if it's readable, but in all honesty, that's not really readable. It's hard to tell what's going on there. What I will say is I'd certainly expect that to get stopped out, and it did. But is it going to go back up? Your guess is as good as mine. That's clear, just congestion at the moment, isn't it? And if that is some kind of channel and that's a break from it, I'd expect more than just that and then straight down. So you've got that bearish bar there, which is triggered. So I wouldn't be surprised if that ticks above there. Quick pop now. Now, is he going to take that out? Possibly wider. Test the hues. Yeah. See, that is a channel of sorts, which doesn't look terrible in all fairness. Whenever we have a break like this, after such a big move, I wouldn't expect it to come straight down. I'd expect it to mess around. But it is, excuse me, it is kind of broad, isn't it? Which is why I've just put that line there just out of curiosity. But at the moment, it's just a little bit unclear, isn't it? So I wouldn't know what to do here, really. The best thing to do is stay out. So it did push up against there, which I thought it would do. It's not a decent enough bar, that really. It's a bit congested. You're not trapping anything significant there. And a lot of times, you know, if you watch them enough, you'll notice it will push up and clear out a few of these stops before it eventually works down, if that's what it's going to do. It's just not safe to do anything really, is it? I mean, there could be some kind of a different channel. It could be like that wouldn't look terrible. Actually, that looks pretty good. Spike in a channel. Look how that's reacted. Look how it fits down the bottom. I actually kind of like that. It's hard to get all this on the same page, isn't it? That's the trouble. What do you guys think about that? Touches in all the right places, doesn't it? Let me just take a photo of that, see if anybody's got that on the See if anybody's got that on the Discord. I don't think that'd be terrible. It's not working terrible around the midline, is it? It's playing a part on the midline. I think that spike and channel, the third confrontation push isn't that great compared to how you had it. Yeah, I got multiple. Let me have a look. So where was the news here? So Dan's got it. Oh yeah, he's looking at that. I've kind of had that. Is that where I had it before, was it? Dan's got that, I think, with that. Which kind of fits in here anyway, really. So it's, I don't know, it's a bit hard to say, really. It's not super straightforward, is it? So what I might do is just kill the colour there so it's an area of interest. It's funny how we've pushed up to it and touched it. If I put that, well, let's leave it as it is. So Dan's got that and touches there. That doesn't look too bad. They both got the merits, I think, don't they? So, yeah, it's hard to say, really, isn't it? We got a channel with a break and a new high. A little bit of congestion there. 2 legs up. Is that a failed break out of this? I wouldn't take that. It's just a bit unclear at the moment, isn't it? I mean, I could tweak that down ever so touch. Pick that up to the top of that tick there. Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to trust it and go short. My overall feel is it's bearish in some sense. Big downtrend like that on a range days for unlikely, in my opinion. Fair enough. I got this. Fits better. Yeah. The fact that that's gone up again and hit that area. Do you know what I mean? It's, yeah. Thing is, if you look at the bombs, touches, 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 touches. You look at the top, spike and channel, touches, touches, and now another quick touch. But yeah, it's not easy, is it? It's not straightforward. So when it is like this whipping around, sometimes it is hard to plot anything, really, isn't it? See if anybody else is looking at that. So let's have a look. Yeah, not really. There's nothing on Thomas Wade's at the moment. So yeah, so that's more likely. It is working nice around the midline, this, so we'll say that. How long have we been going for? Yeah. 2:50, 2 hours, 50 minutes. Okay, so pushed up now. Let's have a look. I took the second entry long for the retest. Here somewhere. Yeah. But you're rubbish. We're all rubbish at some point. Takes time, doesn't it? Takes time. The best thing to do really is just to keep taking trades. If you think something's worth taking, take it, and you do learn. End of day rally again, or switch into a monster pullback. It's hard to say, really, isn't it? That end of day rally usually does happen in the last sort of 15 minutes, doesn't it? What time was that last night? So that was about 9 o'clock thereabouts. It does do this a lot of the times, usually after it's been coming down quite strongly. But that one all of a sudden just literally turned on a dime, didn't it? Straight up 71 points. Woof, look at that. And that was so quick. So it's hard to know where this thing's going, really. My experience is the slower it grinds up, the quicker it comes down. So, I mean, we've had this channel with a break and a new extreme, and then we push down and we go sideways. We have a couple of legs up. It's hard to say where this thing's going, in all fairness. Let's get rid of it for now. It may come back. It depends. Liquidity to hover up. Yeah. Yeah, I'll certainly see a bit of liquidity there. Channel break, new extreme. But at the moment, it's just not super clear, is it? So what crypto's doing today. Bitcoin's hovering around just under 90,000, which is not terrible. A little bit more less, actually. I know Ethereum hasn't done very well at all in this bull run. Not that we're sort of at the end of it or anything, but if I look at everything else, so if I look at Bitcoin over the last year, Bitcoin's up just under 40%. Let's look at XRP over the last year. Well, XRP is up 300%. Over the last year, BNB is up 46%. Solana, that'll be up a lot more. Over the last year, Solana's up only 10%, actually. It had that initial push and it slowed down. ADA is up 33% over the last year. Ethereum, down 40% over the last year. So Ethereum's had a real struggle. It's just hardly moved, Ethereum. So over the last year, it's down 40%. It's kind of hard to work out why. Everything else is done pretty well. Has anybody got any of that Pi coin? Did anybody ever sign up to that Pi network on your mobile phone? Where's mine? I'll show you. Let's have a look. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that, can you? Pi coin, where is it? You can see it in the middle there. Pi. Probably can't see it very clear. So you kind of scroll into it. You kind of, it's that type of thing. You kind of mine it. I've had that for a couple of years. And I'm just getting this thing up now. Deadline to complete KYC is 8 days. So I've got 1,000 of them. And looking at 1,000, if I look on, whether this is the same thing, it must be. If I look at the Pi coin on here, It's just under $2. So I've got 1,000 of them just under $2. I don't quite get it. Is it the same thing or what? I don't know. If it's bleeding out massively to Bitcoin, yeah, I suppose so. But everything else is at a little push. But I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose Ethereum is a little bit unique to the rest of the altcoins, really, isn't it? I suppose so. It's definitely the one to be in. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming we're obviously part the way through this bull market at the moment. You know, bull markets, I don't think they're probably ever going to be as profitable as maybe they were last year or the year before or the year before that. But I know people are lapping up Bitcoin in massively, aren't they? But I don't know. Cost the killer. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, absolutely. Solana is much cheaper, isn't it? Yeah, I've paid stupid amounts of money in. I mean, what was I buying a couple of years ago? Where I paid something like $70 in things like gas fees, buying stuff. But yeah, it's much quicker as well, isn't it? They did say Solana was going to be the Ethereum killer, weren't they? But I don't know. I've got a lot of faith in HBAR. I have Hedera. I've got about 4,500, 5,000 of them, just under 5,000 of them. I've got. I'm holding high hopes for that. The trouble is with crypto, unlike most other things like stocks, they swing dramatically, and you've got to be able to put up with the swing. You stuck $1,000 into crypto, especially some of the altcoins. You know, it wouldn't be shocking to see it dropping by 15% in a day or two. And that spooks a lot of people out. So you have got to be able to really. It took me a while to be able to cope with it. I was on my phone every 2 minutes to be able to cope with those wild swings. But obviously, you know, if you're getting in kind of at the right time, you know, generally, as long as you're in some of the bigger cryptos, I tend to stick to the top 10, maybe just have a couple here or there in some slightly risky ones. But if you stick to the ones that have been around for a few years, you've got a lot more chance of keeping hold of them. But when I first got into crypto, if the thing dropped down, you know, 10%, I'd be selling and panicking. A couple of hours later, it got it back and more. So I got chopped around something chronic. I did. Absolutely. Well, I stuck another £1,000 into HBAR maybe a week ago. Went up to 1,100. Day before yesterday, it was down to 850. It's around about 940, 950 now. So it does swing, but I'm in HBAR still relatively early. It's not had a massive push up, but I, you know, am hearing a lot of good things about it. There are a few people in crypto that I, you know, tend to follow and watch. Two in particular that I tend to follow. Paul Barron's one, and who's the other guy as well? The one with the beady, freaky eyes. I tend to follow him a lot as well. Who's the other guy? Yeah, there's a few people in crypto I tend to follow a little bit. This other guy's kind of very knowledgeable. Yeah, so I tend to follow Michael Saylor a bit. And who's the other one as well? Raoul Paul as well, or Raoul Pal. I tend to listen to him a bit more. Who's the other guy? The More Coin Bureau. He's nuts, he is. He's relatively knowledgeable. But who's the other guy I tend to follow a lot? I know Michael Saylor. He's got hundreds of Bitcoin. Maybe even a little bit more. I can't think of his name now, this guy I'm thinking of. Yeah, the Coin Bureau I tend to follow a little bit as well. And who's the other guy? Get his name now. Just flicking through. Where's my history? This guy there. I think this guy I tend to follow. Yeah, he's very knowledgeable. I think that's the guy. Yeah, it is. I forget his name now, but he's very knowledgeable. Yeah, can you earn? Is it something like 3,500 or 2,500? Something like that. To be honest with you, I got hammered the last bull run, so I was down probably 1,500 the last bull run. So, yeah. So I mean, you've got to until you kind of sell them and figure out what can you earn in the UK. Is it a couple of thousand? You used to be able to earn 10,000, something like that. But I'll just chip all mine in with my profits here. I consider myself a trader and maybe an investor. Now I'm starting to think now maybe this is more of a range. Let's have a look. Let's clean this up a little bit. No crypto tax. Is there not? I had a rumor actually that that Trump may be saying that there's no capital gains tax on crypto. Who was saying that? I forget who it was now. When investing is different in the UK, taxes treated. Yeah. Well, I think with see, I'm registered as a sole trader. And because I get paid from Apex, it'll just be classed as, it won't be classed as capital gains or any type of thing like that. I'll just be classed as an income on it. But there's capital gains in crypto, isn't there? Which, what is that, about 20% or something? So when I pass things onto my accountant at the end of the year, you know, I can just let him know what I've made from what source and so on and so forth. That's if I make anything, that is. But until you sell it, you've not technically made anything, have you? So, we'll see. But you can sell it and put it into a stable coin, can't you? That's kind of a way of getting kind of cash back with selling it, but without actually technically making any profit. Isn't that the whole idea of stable coins, isn't it? It's sort of like a transition period. If you're selling Bitcoin and you know, Bitcoin tops out and you decide you want to put money into something else, isn't that like a kind of a transitional sort of thing? I think it's all changing. Yeah, it probably is. Can't do nothing nowadays without the tax man grabbing hold of you, can you? The thing is, surely he's got to, I mean, if you put money into crypto and you lose a ton, surely you can write that off against your tax anyway, can't you? So I think just as many people get chopped up in Bitcoin as make money, well, probably more actually. So, but yeah, I'll wait and see if I make anything first. I mean, you still can use, there are still some without KYC, isn't there? So there's probably still ways of getting away without paying anything, but I don't foresee making that much. I think you can still earn, isn't it, 2,000 or 3,000 at the moment. Stable coins are treated as separate tokens. If you trade them, you need to pay. If you trade out, and you need it. When you say trade out, you mean trade into a stable coin. If you sold Bitcoin for USDC, you've got to pay on that, have you? Ramping, that's the issue. Yeah, you do. So I suppose if you're in the altcoins, really, I suppose putting it back into, there are certain things. I mean, you can trade off. I mean, you can trade Solana for Bitcoin, can't you, and stuff like that, as selling the assets. So even if you trade Solana for Bitcoin or the other way around, is that classed? You think it's taxable? Yeah, they're not going to let you get away with anything, are they? Well, I hope they're going to be able to write off. Well, you're bound to be able to, aren't you? If you make money, if you lose money, if it's any type of money, if you lose money, you should be able to write it off. So this now really, to me, is kind of just looking a bit rangy, isn't it? I mean, we've got this channel down there, leg and a leg, and it may come back there, but now it's up to the top here. It's more just rangy. Asset, the same way of trading. Yeah, that's the thing, really, isn't it? Wasn't all that stuff with the SEC and all that, if something's considered as an asset? Yeah. It's quite complicated, isn't it? Not only is it quite complicated to understand, it's quite complicated to use as well. You know, not everyone knows how to. It's not straightforward, isn't it, to send. You know, if you want to send USDC to another exchange, it's a little bit long-winded. I'm assuming it'll get easier, but yeah, I mean, I've never tried putting anything into a cold wallet. Cold wallet or anything like that. It's not that straightforward, is it? Especially for complete newbies. I wouldn't consider myself as a complete newbie, but I'm by far. Anywhere close to know exactly what I'm doing. I have moved things over from one exchange to another. I transferred some stuff from Coinbase to Kraken maybe 12 months ago or a year and a half or something like that. But yeah, I don't know how it works nowadays. If you move certain amounts of money, to, you know, don't the tax man find out if it's over a certain amount, isn't it? I don't know what the rules are now. Wait and see if I make anything yet. We're going. Yeah, it's hard to know, mate, isn't it? It is slowly grinding up. We're sending it to, yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those days today. There was a setup I wished I'd have taken earlier, but at the time, we kind of come off here. My only slight concern is this thing, and then it started pushing up again. But I really like that setup. Second entry long, triggers, bearish bar, second entry short. It's a tiny bit congested, but I think you can work out what's going on. I like that. I just wasn't paying attention. You've got a ledger for cold storage. It took me years to get my head around swapping in and out of tokens. Yeah, I just found out when I was looking at it on YouTube, it was never quite, because I kind of wanted to explain like you were explaining it to a child, because I just couldn't sort of stand it. I kind of figure out how I know how it is. You obviously got to connect it and stuff, but I certainly wouldn't be comfortable with shifting large amounts of money. Some are easier than others. What I like as well, especially about an exchange, why I like Kraken, you sell in Kraken and you withdraw out to your bank, it's usually in your bank within 15 minutes. It's so quick. You can put money in quick. You can take it out quick. I really like Kraken. I love the fees. It's so cheap to, to buy and sell crypto. They're really cheap. Whereas if you move to something like crypto.com, if you move to, if you use something like crypto.com, that can get a little bit pricey. And I bought mine through Revolut as well. I think I bought $1,000 and I think it cost me, £1,000, and I think it cost me about 35. What was it? I think it cost me about £35, something like that in fees. Something like that, which is on about 3% or something. The trouble is, I wanted some H-bar and I can't get it on Kraken. The only way I can see where it is, I mean, it's probably on Coinbase or something, I don't know, but the trouble is, we're limited in the UK to who, I used to use Bybit for a while. I like Bybit. Tend to have everything, but then they stopped us using it in the UK. You can probably still use it. You've got to transfer out and then in, and then there's probably a way of doing it. I like Bybit. I like the setup and that. Got caught. How did you really? They're settling. Yeah, I've watched that interview with who's the trader that took out 1.8 million out of Apex. I think he lost 600. Did he lose $600,000 or something stupid like that to FTX? The trouble is, I mean, I'm not fully I'm not fully in the know about cold wallets. But if I had that much money, you'd think you got to protect yourself. 600, a couple of thousand, a few couple of thousand. I wouldn't be so concerned about. But I've probably got about 3,000 total in crypto, something like that. Not much. Majority of mine's in Kraken, I'd say. But what I did, I think it was 2.5 years ago. In fact, it was close to the top of the bull run, I think. I had one of the, they were called CRO at the time. I don't know what they're called now. Crypto.com's native coin. I think I had to put £300 in, and I got one of the Ruby Steel cards. And I got 2% cash back, and I did all right out of that. I made about £30 per month because I put my rent on it. I put all my council tax on it, paid my bills, did all my shopping. I probably made about £30 a month on that, which was paid back in CRO. And it shot up. The trouble is, I was locked in for about 6 months, so by the time I got out, I didn't end up making much. Right, kiddo. Need to save your encrypted keys off the exchange. Yeah, I've got my you're on about encrypted keys, aren't you? I've got my no, I'm talking about my seed phrase. That's not what you're on about, is it? See, I don't know how much protection I get with Revolut. I don't know Revolut use actually for to buy the crypto. It's obviously through some exchange somewhere. So we're getting close to this area now. So be interesting to see what happens. Actually, Dan's got the same as mine. So we're getting close to the top now, aren't we? Going to buy a ledger, but they got hacked. You're kidding, are you? Trees are, but they don't support Tron. Okay, so they've got to support the network that you send it via. I wonder if banks are going to get into that. Banks need to do something, I think. Otherwise, I think the banking industry is going to start to struggle in the future. As far as I'm concerned, the banking industry is the biggest con known to man. We put our billions in there, and what do we get for it? Nothing. What do? get it, invest it, trade it, whatever they do, make themselves a small fortune, and we get nothing for it. We sort of bank online. You know, I used to bank with Barclays, and I have done with Lloyds in the past. I don't do it anymore. I bank with Monzo, so much better, and Revolut. There's so much you can do. So much little extra features that you don't get with banks. You know, it'd be nice that banks look into storing crypto where you get some proper protection. Trouble is, it's okay having a ledger. If you've got £50,000 or dollars, whatever, and you've got it sat in a ledger in your front room, that's as good as having $50,000 in or pounds in cash sat on your desk. That's another thing that concerns me. If someone breaks into your house, or if you have a fire or something like that, yeah, Revolut's great. I can exchange anything. So I recently put a bit of money into my own Ninja Trade account. I haven't traded it yet, but if I send over pounds, I get a charge for a fee, but I don't pay anything for exchange rate, so I can exchange over the dollars at the current market rate and send dollars straight over that way, so I miss out the middleman. So it's encrypted and safe as long as you have the keys. Trouble is, a set of keys are as the same as a bundle of cash, really. If you lose them, you know what I mean? You've obviously got to store the keys safe. So I don't know. It'd be nice. It would be nice for banks to be able to store stuff like that for you safely, and you pay a small fee. Well, you get a little bit of. I know if I keep money in the bank, it's protected up to a certain amount. I think it's $85,000 or something, isn't it, per account? So, yeah, that's why you have multiple backups. Yeah, I'd want it tattooed on my arse, I think, for safety. But yes, if you don't know much about crypto, you can make some real mistakes, can't you? You know, I'm hearing scams. In fact, I was listening on the radio the other day. A couple of people got scammed out of £1 million worth of crypto. So there are so many scams out there, and if you're not, you know, entirely knowledgeable, it's very easy to get caught out and make a mistake, and there's always somebody come up with a new way of scamming people. So, are we reacting to this, or is this just a pullback within the channel? Everyone is trying to steal from you. It's going to turn you into a paranoid nutcase, isn't it? Well, that's the digital era, unfortunately, isn't it? It's not immune, is it? I know, wasn't it? It was hacked the other day. Was that Bybit? Bybit was hacked the other day. No, sure enough. I don't think anything really come of that. I watched somebody earlier that said there was no main issues in the end. I don't know how it works, but I nearly got scammed a couple of years ago. I bought something on, what was the exchange? Was it Bitmart? Not one of the most reputable ones. I bought something on Bitmart, and there was a problem with it. I can't remember what it was, but I messaged someone at Bitmart and no one got back to me. So I joined a Facebook group for Bitmart users, and I said I'd messaged Bitcoin, and so I'd messaged Bitmart and they hadn't got back to me. Has anybody come across this? How long does it take? And later that day I had a phone call saying somebody was from Bitmart. So obviously I was expecting it. And it was some guy that said, okay, I need to go in to help you go into your system. And stupidly, I gave away my password. And he said, okay, it's reset. I've reset your password, but don't go back into it for 24 hours. And when I put the phone down, something just didn't feel right. So when I looked into it, when you make changes at Bitmart, you can't make any withdrawals for 24 hours. And they said to me, don't log back into your account for 24 hours. In other words, giving them enough time to be able to log back in and withdraw the funds. So in the end, I went in there and I managed to get through to Bitmart, and they said, change your password, blah, blah, blah. And I was okay in the end. There wasn't a lot in there, but time out today, blew my accounts yesterday. I'm back on a sim. Ouch. Reading Brett Steenbarger. Yeah, I lost 3 of my accounts. They were low anyway. They were under the 50,000. I knew I was taking a risk. But when I've done that in the past, I've gotten away with it, but I didn't. But that's fine. I'm not worried about the 3. 17's, I think, enough. I've got a total of just a fraction under $30,000 in here, so I'm okay with that. Trend performance code. Got you. So I think I'm about done, actually. I don't know where this thing's going. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there for today. Nutty Bar. Yeah, I noticed. I don't like to see anybody doing bad, to be honest with you. And he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, Nutty. I got a lot of time for him. I'm not a massive fan of Alpine. I've heard him come over really arrogant sometimes. I know somebody said, I wouldn't be going. It was about a month ago. He kept going long. It was clearly moving down, and he kept going long. Every time we had a pullback, he was going long, and he was getting stung, and he lost about 5 trades in a row. Yeah, and someone said, you're constantly going against the market, blah, blah, blah. And he said, you can't tell me how to trade. I've made $300,000, blah, 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 which I thought was a bit arrogant. But the reason he made that is because he was trading without a stop. And he was playing kind of the numbers. But now you can't do that. He's clearly not as making as much. So, you know, telling someone they can't tell you how to trade. The trouble is, I don't know whether you guys have been trading 2 minutes or 20 years. You know, if someone says they've got a channel here, you might know more than me, so I'll try it, and if it works, great. But he can come over as a bit arrogant sometimes, but I see him do that a lot, to be honest with you. The market comes down, pulls back, he goes long, gets triggered, stopped out, and he did it 5 times in a row. And you know, some people get stuck in a certain mindset, and he even admitted to himself that he was doing it, but he didn't kind of know why, which was kind of odd. But someone corrected him about something, and he kind of bit their heads off. So, yeah, he was churning the account. So I'm not a massive fan of him, to be honest with you. Patrick Whelan, well, he's quite different, isn't he? But what I will say about him, he's kind of full of himself and cocky, but that's okay. Some people are like that. But when I heard him talking nicely with Nutty, he came over quite different, and I thought, actually, you could have a nice conversation with him. But Nutty Bars, he's quite comical, isn't he? And he'd be a nice person to be around, I think. I do have a little chat with him from time to time, but he's a nice guy. I got a lot of time for him. 20-year-old kid. Yeah, I mean, some people are like that. I don't know. Does that work for him? Perhaps it does. You know, some people are full of themselves and full of confidence, and it works for him. He seems to do okay out of it. He seems to make a lot of money, so, you know, it works for him. But, I mean, I'm British anyway. We're a bit quite refined and boring, I think, anyway. I know a lot of you US guys are a lot more sort of outgoing than us. We're quite shy, and we keep, you know, but you US guys, if something's bothering you, say it. We tend to bottle stuff in. So Brits can be quite boring sometimes, can't they? But I got a lot of time for Nutty. I don't like anybody blowing up and losing accounts, because I know what it feels like. It's painful when it happens. He's a showman. Yeah, he's a showman, isn't he? And some people are like that. That's fair enough. But at the end of the day, the guy's making money, isn't he? So And I will say he's got a lovely girlfriend, so I don't mind watching him occasionally. But yeah, I do find Alpine can come over as a bit arrogant sometimes. But you know, we're all like that. Created a persona. Yeah, he hasn't he? Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's making money. But I did hear him talking when he had Nutty trading with him, and he come over as quite different. I thought, actually, the guy's quite nice. He was asking nice, honest questions and having a real nice conversation. But there you go. So I have been going now for, it's got to be 3 hours odd, isn't it? 3 hours and 25 minutes. Honest about YouTube money. Likely to make more trading. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're having that many people, you're going to make money on YouTube, but you need a stack of people. I think from YouTube, I'd probably make an average of about £25 per month. So I'm not a YouTuber. It doesn't interest me in making videos. I can't be arsed with that. Streaming's easy, really. I just click stream and away I go. But yeah, I enjoyed the chat. Thank you. So there you go. So I'll leave you guys to it. I don't know what's going on here, but I thought this thing was going to kick down, and it kind of had a couple of legs. I suppose it was a leg and a leg, wasn't it? In fact, was it? It probably was actually the best part of a leg, but I'm a streamer, really. Well, I say a streamer. I'm just a trader, just trying to get by. But it's nicer to share your experience with other people. It just, because otherwise, stuck in a little room by yourself is boring as hell, isn't it? Get some YouTubers get a lot of haters. They become overly sensitive. Yeah, there was one particular guy that trolled me for a while. A couple of people warned me about him. I forget his name now. Money Max, I think they nicknamed him. He tried to get me to join a Discord where I had to pay. I can't remember what it was. And I went, no, I'm okay, blah, blah, blah. And he got quite offended by it. And then he just put nasty comments, stuff like that. PW is full of himself, Patrick went. So he really trolled me. And that's why I stopped the comments, because he's just saying horrible stuff. And after a while, it didn't get me down. It just bugged me that I couldn't say anything back. He kind of had a platform where he can say. That's why I stopped the comments. And funnily enough, I hadn't heard from him for about a year. And about 3 months ago, I put the comments back on. And I swear to God, I had one and one only comment, and it was him. And I spoke to a few people on. When I was asking about this, he mentioned this Discord. I asked a couple of people on the Facebook group about it. He went, stay away from him. His name's Money Max, they nicknamed him. I think it was Nick who mentioned it. Stay away from him. I had a mate who got scammed and all this. So in the end, I said, no, I'm not interested, blah, blah, blah. And he got really offended. But there you go. So I will see you guys tomorrow anyway. So best of luck if you're carrying on. Failing that, have a great evening. Stay safe, and we'll catch up tomorrow. I'll read that last comment. I got one single hate message and I deleted my videos and stopped streaming. Yeah, to be fair, I don't have the comments and I have you guys on the stream, but to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I saw a negative comment. Because I just try and be myself, and you know, I don't pretend I'm an excellent trader. I you know, I have my struggles, and you guys see me, you know, when I'm doing well and when I'm struggling. So I'm just like you guys. I'm a guy who's been trading 4 years, and I'm slowly getting somewhere, but it's not easy. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that exponential. So I'll leave you guys to it anyway. So best of luck, and have a great evening. Stay safe. We'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. I'll leave you guys to it. There we go. Oh, nice.